Because we got a call for service here.
Not here.
Lady?
This Florida mother is now accused in the murder of her own daughter, a teenager who called police to report the attack.
What happened?
I was strangled.
Okay, by who?
In the quiet hours before dawn, a desperate call reached Tampa Police Dispatch. "I just woke up from being passed out," the terrified voice said. "My mother, she strangled me." Then silence. The call disconnected. What would drive a mother to turn against her own child with such violence? What darkness had consumed Rotesha Silveus that she would allegedly strangle her 18-year-old daughter Natavia to death? Welcome back to True Crime Buff HQ, where we uncover the most chilling stories that prove truth is often more disturbing than fiction. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our community as we dive into this heartbreaking case of maternal betrayal that shocked Tampa, Florida, in the spring of 2024. Before tragedy struck on that fateful night in May, Natavia Sanders was a young woman with her entire life ahead of her. At just 18 years old, she had recently reached that milestone of adulthood, that magical age when possibilities seem endless and the future stretches bright with promise. Friends described Natavia as vibrant and full of life. She was known for her warm smile and kind nature, traits that made her beloved by those who knew her. Like many teens her age, she documented moments of her life on social media, sharing glimpses of ordinary days that would later become precious memories for those left behind. Rotesha Silveus, 38, was Natavia's mother. Born on October 26, 1985, Rotesha had given birth to Natavia when she was just 20 years old. Neighbors described a complex relationship between mother and daughter, with some mentioning occasional tensions that seemed to simmer beneath the surface. The two lived together in a modest home in the 1900 block of East 23rd Avenue in Tampa, Florida. From the outside, it might have appeared to be an ordinary household, a single mother and her daughter navigating life together. But behind closed doors, something sinister was brewing. What we know about their relationship comes from fragments, neighbors' observations, brief interactions with authorities, and ultimately, that desperate final phone call that would alert police to a tragedy unfolding within those walls. The night of May 10, 2024, began like any other in the Tampa neighborhood. Lights flickered off one by one as residents settled in for the night, but inside the Silveus home, tension was mounting. We may never know exactly what sparked the confrontation between mother and daughter that night. What words were exchanged, what long-simmering resentments boiled over. But what we do know is that in the early morning hours of May 11th, something snapped. According to police reports, it was approximately 3:17 a.m. when Natavia, somehow having escaped her mother's grasp, managed to dial 911. Her voice was weak, frightened. "I just woke up from being passed out," she told the dispatcher, revealing that her mother had strangled her. Those would be some of the last words she ever spoke. The call disconnected abruptly. Tampa Police Dispatch immediately tried to reconnect with the caller, while simultaneously sending officers to the address. The minutes that followed were critical. When officers arrived at the residence, they were met with resistance. Rotesha Silveus, described in police reports as uncooperative, refused to let them enter. Knowing someone's life might hang in the balance, officers engaged in what was described as a brief struggle with Silveus before finally gaining entry to the home. Inside, they found a scene that would haunt even seasoned officers. Natavia lay unresponsive, the marks of strangulation evident on her neck. Without hesitation, officers began CPR, fighting desperately to revive the young woman while waiting for paramedics to arrive. Tampa Fire Rescue arrived minutes later, taking over life-saving efforts and rushing Natavia to a nearby hospital. She was in critical condition, clinging to life by the thinnest of threads. Meanwhile, Rotesha Silveus was placed in handcuffs and taken to Orient Road Jail. Initially, she was charged with resisting an officer with violence and aggravated battery with great bodily harm. But fate had an even darker turn ahead. If you're finding this case as disturbing as we are, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And brace yourselves. This story is about to take an even more heartbreaking turn. For 2 days, Natavia fought for her life in the hospital. Detectives worked around the clock, piecing together the events of that terrible night. They spoke with neighbors, examined the crime scene, and consulted with medical experts about Natavia's injuries. The investigation revealed a disturbing timeline. According to witnesses and physical evidence, there had been an altercation between mother and daughter that escalated to violence. The nature of Natavia's injuries was consistent with manual strangulation, the application of direct pressure to the neck, cutting off blood and oxygen to the brain. Strangulation is a particularly intimate form of violence, requiring sustained, direct physical contact. Medical experts explained to investigators that it typically takes between 2 to 4 minutes of continuous pressure to cause death, minutes during which the assailant can feel their victim struggle, watch their eyes, and make a sustained choice to continue. This wasn't a split-second act of violence, but a prolonged assault that required determination and intent. On May 13th, just 2 days after the attack, the hospital called the Tampa Police Department with devastating news. Despite all medical interventions, Natavia Sanders had succumbed to her injuries. She was just 18 years old. The investigation now officially became a homicide case. The Hillsborough County Medical Examiner's Office conducted a thorough autopsy, methodically documenting the injuries that had ended this young woman's life. Their conclusion was unequivocal. The cause of death was strangulation, and the manner of death was homicide. With this determination, Tampa police detectives compiled their evidence and presented their findings to the state attorney's office. The evidence was damning. Natavia's 911 call directly implicating her mother, physical evidence of strangulation, witness statements, and the medical examiner's conclusions all pointed to one person, Rotesha Silveus. As investigators dug deeper into Rotesha Silveus's background, a complex picture began to emerge. At 38 years old, she had given birth to Natavia when she was barely out of her teens herself. The challenges of young motherhood, financial struggles, and personal demons may have all contributed to a volatile relationship with her daughter. In the wake of her arrest, Silveus showed little remorse, according to jail records. She remained largely uncooperative with investigators, providing few insights into what had driven her to such a violent act against her own child. Court records indicate that Silveus had previous encounters with law enforcement, though nothing that would have predicted such a violent outcome. Neighbors expressed shock, with some mentioning occasional arguments between mother and daughter, but nothing that seemed outside the normal tensions of a parent-teen relationship. On May 24, 2024, nearly 2 weeks after the attack, Tampa police officially upgraded the charges against Rotesha Silveus to first-degree murder. The premeditated nature of strangulation, requiring sustained effort and intention, supported this most serious of charges. Chief Lee Burkaw of the Tampa Police Department addressed the media, saying, "This is a heartbreaking case. Our deepest condolences go out to all those who knew and loved Natavia. The hard work of our detectives is a demonstration of our commitment to ensuring justice is served in this matter." Silveus remained in Orient Road Jail, awaiting trial, facing the possibility of life imprisonment or even the death penalty under Florida law. The community of Tampa was left reeling from this tragedy. Candlelight vigils were held for Natavia, where friends and classmates gathered to remember the vibrant young woman whose life was cut short just as it was truly beginning. For those who knew and loved Natavia, the pain was compounded by the incomprehensible nature of the crime. A mother is supposed to protect, nurture, and love unconditionally. The betrayal of that sacred trust left wounds that may never fully heal. Domestic violence experts pointed to this case as a stark reminder that abuse can occur in any relationship, including between parent and child. Resources were shared throughout the community, encouraging anyone experiencing abuse to seek help before another tragedy could occur. As for Natavia Sanders, her memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her. A young life full of potential, dreams, and possibilities, all extinguished far too soon. In the criminal justice system, the wheels turn slowly. As of this recording, Rotesha Silveus awaits her day in court, where she will face judgment for the alleged murder of her daughter. But no verdict, no sentence, can ever restore the life that was lost. This tragic case serves as a sobering reminder of how quickly violence can shatter lives and families. If you found this story impactful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Buff HQ for more in-depth coverage of cases that matter. Click the notification bell to be alerted when we release another video. Meanwhile, up there on the right of this video, you will see a video of how a SpaceX engineer dumped murdered wife's naked body in driveway. It's a very disturbing case of homicide and domestic abuse. What do you think could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Were there warning signs that were missed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, behind every crime is a story that deserves to be told.